Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our garden planning party. And I don't know if anyone's going to come live, but that's okay. I'm going to put this out there for the world. And so anybody can come and join and plan your garden. So that's exciting. So, hi, everybody. Hi, future participants. I am Mindy Young. I hail from Northeast Kansas, and I am a longtime gardener, almost 40 years. I say I was gardening even before I could walk. I was out playing in the dirt. My mom would take me out to the large family garden, and she would just set me out there and I would just play in the dirt. And so I always say I've been gardening my entire life because I have. And so I have grown up growing veggies basically. But to make a long story short, I became an extension agent after college, and I became a horticulture extension agent more or less because that is most of the questions that I was getting. I think I heard somebody. My family's everywhere. So anyway, I became an extension agent for horticulture, and one of the most important things that I could teach somebody was to how to plan out their garden, because I remember times where I would stand out in the garden in spring would get here. I would go out to my garden to start planting and I would not have a plan, and I would not have any idea of what I was doing. So we all know that gardening is much more than just throwing seeds out in the ground and praying for rain. It's much more than that. It Seeds and plants require spacing, they require proper depth, they require proper environmental conditions. And yeah, sure, you can throw seeds out and hope that they come up. But we all know that if you want a proper yield and proper amount of veggies and healthy plants, the best thing that you can do is plan. That is the best thing you can do. So what I have for you tonight is I'm going to go through an entire planning process with you for planning out your garden. And I'm using my vegetable garden playbook that I created from my own experiences. So I remember the very first time that I was standing out in our dirt area, and I had no plan at all. And I was like, so what am I going to plant here? What am I going to plant there? And my husband was almost mad at me because I had no plan. But after that, I went in and I made a page that was basically a brain dump of everything that I wanted to plant. And from there, every time after that, I would make a new page with a certain specificity on it. So, for example, the first page, let me see if I can share my screen here. Oh my, let me see. Here we go. Share. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is the Ultimate Veggie Garden Playbook. Let me see if I can scroll down. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Um, so why do you want to grow veggies? And we're gonna go through all of this here in just a little bit. But I just wanted to show you kind of why I made this playbook. Um, this was the very first page that I made from my own experience. That was the very first problem that I had was what veggies am I going to grow? At that time, I had no idea. I had no plan. So from then on, I always knew. I always had a plan. That was always the first thing. What am I going to grow? From there, I've created rules for vegetables, spacing, row charts, seed spacing, germination temperatures, transplant planner. There's a space in here to draw out your garden. There's a calendar, a scouting chart because scouting is important through the season, a budget, and also if you need more help, which I will go over that in just a little bit also. So let's kind of go through this playbook here. I don't know. Yeah. Let's kind of go through this playbook and talk about the different pages. So let's start with why do you want to grow veggies? Okay, so I want to take a few minutes and really think about why you want to grow veggies. You know, is it because you want to have your own stockpile for your own family? Do you want to have a business with it? Do you want um do you want to start canning? Do you want to why is it that you want to grow veggies? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to go ahead and answer that question. Okay, so we've answered the question. And if you need more time on it, you know, you can always go back and think about it some more. But we're just going to move on here. Why do you want to grow veggies? My answer is for my family. Now that I have a business, it's for my customers. I tend to grow now what they like and what they want to buy. So that's a lot of how I make my decisions now. But I still grow a lot for my family, and we tend to like what our customers like too, which is mucho helpful. So that is just some ideas of why I grow. And it's always good to know your why, like why you want to do a thing, because it helps keep you on track. It helps keep you motivated, determined, all those sorts of feelings that go along with it and help keep you excited to get up and go do the thing. So that is what I always think of also. Next, I want to talk about goals for your veggie garden. So I have 5 little spots here. So you can write 5 goals that you hope to achieve from your garden this year. So let's take a minute or so and fill out your top 5 goals. All right. So we've made our top 5 goals. I'll share mine. First is to grow enough vegetables to feed 100 people. That's my family plus 95 other people. Grow healthy plants in my garden. So I'm going to use the scouting sheet and stay on top of any disease or insect damage or anything like that we might have. The next 2 goals are new veggies that I've never grown before. Well, not the next one is something new I've never grown before, and that's Brussels sprouts. I would like to grow Brussels sprouts this year. I've never grown them before, so that will be something new. The 4th one we have grown before. We did not grow it last year because we forgot to plant it. It just didn't work out in our spacing plan, and that is okra. And we actually really missed growing okra this year. Excuse me. Okay, and then my 5th goal is to have my kids help more in the garden. That is something really important that I want to continue. My kids are pretty little still, but as I told you, I was in the garden and around the garden my entire life when I was little also, and they have been, but I'd like to have them have more of an ownership this year in the planting and care of all the plants. So that is a goal that I have. So now that we have our goals and our why, let's talk about what we need for our garden or what our garden needs. So of course we know our garden needs soil, sunlight, and water. So you want to make sure that you have proper access to all of those things. Of course, sunlight depends on the need for sunlight depends on the plant that you're planting. And of course, I have the sun versus shade page later on in the guide, in the playbook. So you can refer to that later on. But it's really important to know like what's in your soil. So taking soil samples from your garden area, excuse me, and interpreting nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and your pH. That's really important to know. That way you can fertilize as needed. And then water, of course, water as appropriate. You don't want to overwater, but you want to make sure that you have adequate water and that it's ready to go at planting. Some years we've made mistakes of not watering, and then we didn't get rains and our plants didn't do as well. They were stunted a little bit because they didn't get the rain right away. And so it's really important to have your new plants and your new seeds have that moisture on them at planting time. They're going to germinate and grow a lot faster. Okay, so here's garden tools to have on hand. These are just recommendations. Honestly, I probably only have half of these things that I use, but and there's also extra lines. If you have something that's not on here that you want to use, go ahead and add that on. That is perfectly fine. This playbook is yours to make however it is that you want to do it. So I have for container gardeners, you want like a sprinkling can, or something that's going to not like douse the plants or seeds in water, but sprinkle water over the top. So I have used a styrofoam cup and poked holes in the bottom. That has worked fairly well for watering in containers. You need your containers, obviously, and potting soil, pruners, and then your labels to make sure that you know what's growing where. Okay, for small gardeners, over here, spading fork, hoe, trowel, hose, string, and tape measure for planting. For medium-sized gardens, garden tiller, wildlife fence, organic fertilizer, veggie garden basics listed above. And finally, for large market gardens, greenhouse, cover crop, wheel cultivator, wheel planter, fertilizer spreader, weed control, and plastic. Plus all of what is above. And again, this is just recommendation. Again, use this however you see fit and however you would like. This is yours to keep. All right, the next I have soil test results. I'm hoping you're going to take soil samples or you have. I have a soils course also that you can have access to. But basically, taking soil samples is really super important so that you know what levels your soil is at. Because some veggies grow better at certain pHs and some fruits grow better at certain pHs. So it is highly dependent on what you want to plant as well. So this is just a page where you can keep track. Okay, again, here's what vegetables will you grow. Let's take a minute and list what vegetables you're going to grow in your garden. So let's go ahead and list that out now. The top 10 vegetables. Okay, so I've got my top 10. I've got okra as number 1, sweet corn, tomatoes, hot peppers, sweet peppers, cherry tomatoes, eggplant, zucchini, yellow squash, and potatoes. Those are my top 10 that we are going to grow this year. So with that said, we are now to the guides. Which vegetables require full sun? This is the sun versus shade infographic. So basically what it is sunlight rules for veggies. And there's some fruit on here too. There's some watermelon and cantaloupe. So on the left, you can see more than 6 hours. These are full sun crops. All right, here they are right here. And then on the right, 6 hours of sun. These are partial shade veggies. And here they all are right there. And I did forget green beans. We're definitely planting those this year. Green beans are great. Okay, so that's basically this. You can use it to plan out your garden spots and where you're going to plant what, depending on if they like sun versus shade. Okay, the next guide is seed planting depth. So how deep you're going to plant the seeds. And this is kind of important for like germination rates to follow this guide. So as you can see, celery needs 1/8 of an inch. And then these veggies need 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch here. A 1/2 inch, and then 3/4 inch. So, and then these are, seeds. So if you're planting plants or if you're growing your own plants in containers, then you would want to make sure that you follow these spacing guides appropriately, just for seeds. If you were planting plants, obviously you just plant the root ball. So hope that makes sense. All right, the next one is the seed row spacing chart. So basically, this is how far apart you're going to put rows if you're making multiple rows, and how much room the plants are going to need to grow. Okay. So asparagus needs 48 inches, basically 4 foot between each one. So you can kind of go through that on your own. Right? This is seed spacing in the row. So if you were planting crowns, you would plant a crown and then go 18 inches and then plant another one. So every 18 inches. So every 36 inches, you would plant a rhubarb. Okay, every 3 to 4 inches, you would plant a bean seed. So that is what that is. Seed spacing. All right, and then these are germination temperatures, which is super important, I found, for germinating seeds. You don't want to plant seeds too early. If the soil is too cold, then they're not gonna sprout. You're not gonna get a germination rate. So it's important to know your seed temperature. So that is what this guide is. All right, and then I have an easy transplant planner. I am going to be doing a transplanting masterclass in just a couple weeks. So I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be showing you how to plant seeds that you'll be transplanting later on. So I'm really excited about that. You're definitely going to want to tune in on that one coming up soon. All right, we went through all the guides, so now we've come to the place where we can go ahead and draw out our garden spots. So you can use these little rectangles that I have, or if you have a picture of your place, you can use that also instead. I just have these in here just for reference. I also have this, if you would rather do like divided spaces. So it's completely up to you what you want to do. But I do want to take about 10 minutes right now and go ahead and draw out your garden. Completely planned out. If you can come up with dimensions of your garden. So for example, my main garden spot is 150 feet by 50 feet. So 150 feet long by 50 feet wide. Okay. So knowing that, I can guesstimate how many seeds are going to go in to one row based upon how far apart I plant the seeds, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to use my guides to figure that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes and 10 to 15 minutes and plan out our garden spot. I'm going to put myself on mute just in case somebody decides to come down. Maybe. All right, it's been about 10-15 minutes. And so we are going to kind of move on. But basically, I wish I would have snapped a picture ahead of time, but you can see this. It might be upside down too. So all of these crops are full sun, which works well for my garden spots. But I have tomatoes, peppers, 2 rows of peppers, squash, 2 types of squash, okra, green beans, and eggplants. I have how far apart they need to be, how far apart the rows need to be, if whether they were transplants or seeds. So when I go to get ready to plant and even start the transplants, I'll know how many transplants I'll need to grow to fill that space. So that will save me time, money, and space and headaches when I go to do that. Okay, so now that that's done, all right. So, this germination table, which I mentioned before, is really important for when you're planting seeds in the ground in the spring, but also when you are planting, starting seeds for transplanting. And I'll go over more of this during my next masterclass on um, planting transplants because this is really super important. The knowing the best soil temperature for germination has saved me so many headaches when starting my own seeds. And so I made this little chart to share with you guys so that you can not have as many headaches too. And you can have a better rate for germination when starting your own seeds also. So stay tuned for that when I have my next master class over growing transplants. But this is really important. It's good to have a soil thermometer on hand if you want to grow stuff early. Just and if it's been colder, it's always good to know what the soil temperature is before you plant the seeds. I always tell my kids and my students that it's like when Goldilocks was trying out all the beds and Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and she tried the first bed and it was too cold or too soft. She tried the second bed, it was too hard or too hot. And then she tried the third bed. Oh, it was just right, just perfect. And so this best range for germination right here is the bed that's just right for the seeds. And in order for the seeds to perform and to sprout, then they need their bed to be just right also. Hopefully that makes sense. That's the best way I can explain it. All right. Okay, Easy Transplant Planner. This is for if you want to grow your transplants. This is how long in advance you want to start your seeds. So, you want to get a calendar out. Um, I I have my planner here, and I just go ahead and decide when I want to plant my transplant. So, say I want to plant my tomato plants the 15th of May. Around Mother's Day is when I normally do it here in Kansas. If you're south of me, you might want to pick a earlier day, but those are a really good rule of thumb. It beats the frost here in Kansas usually, so that's kind of why I shoot for that day of 15th of May. So I count back 8 weeks from there, and that's kind of when I start my seeds. I have started them earlier. I've started them in January before, but then I have to keep them in the greenhouse just because for fear of frosts might get them. I will cover my plants if I need to, but they just have never done very well, and I've learned that um it's just really not worth it. I I can get early tomatoes even even waiting on that May 1st or May 15th date. I can still get good quality tomatoes early by waiting. So that's kind of what I do. So pick the date that's best for you. Count back 6 to 8 weeks, 4 weeks. Excuse me. Okay, there's also the germination temperatures there on this, but you can use this planner. You can write in when you have to start those seeds, and then you can write in the transplant date along with that. So then you have that little calendar there to go by. So hopefully that is helpful for you. All right, here I've got, okay, we've already covered this. Okay, here's a 12-month timeline that you can use if you would like. Kind of, you can use it to plan out when stuff will be ready, when stuff needs to be planted, that kind of thing. All right, and then we have the scouting chart. And I've put in weeds, insects, disease. That's kind of what I scout for, just if anything looks off. And so if you have anything specific in your area that you scout for, you can write that in on the line here. And then I have these little boxes here. Day by day, you can go and check if you've scouted them and if they were good. And you can also write notes down below and reminders. So that is that one. And then, of course, I have a garden budget down here that you can plan for. If you want, we can go through that real quick. So soil testing is going to be, back when I was soil testing for others, it was about $8 to go through the university lab. So let's just put $10 down just to be safe. $10 for soil testing. Fertilizer, I mean, it depends on what you use. And you can go to a website of your local garden store and look up prices if you'd like. Watering is going to depend on your water bill, water prices in your area, and how much you use. You know, if you're going to get plenty of rains, you're going to be using less water. Hoses, if you need to buy hoses, soaker hoses or regular hoses or nozzles, whatever you need to get there. Fencing, like if you use any fencing for like trellising or for protecting from wildlife, that needs to be an expense. Your seed needs to be an expense. You should be getting your seed catalog soon if you haven't already. I know I've got my Johnny's one already, so we can go ahead and start ordering the seed pretty soon. So you can go ahead and budget out for that. Any plants that you're going to buy ahead of time. If you're not going to start your own, if you're going to buy the plants, you can put that down here. Any tools that you need, mulch, insect control, and weed control, and anything else that you can think of would be really good to write down. Anything that you use or think you will use needs to go down as an expense so that you are covered. Okay. On the income side, that's if you choose to sell anything, to sell any produce, or if you received any grants for growing a garden for any reason. Donations and gifts can be tax deductible. So I always put those down as income, just because it's always a plus. Even if I didn't get the money, it's always nice to be of service of others, and then you still get a write-off at the end of the year too. So that is basically a budget, and then you just total income minus expenses to get your total here, your net. So, friend, that is the garden planning party, and we are under an hour. So I just want to thank you for joining me here. Even if you weren't live, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this has been a blessing to you. I hope that this has helped you maybe answered some questions about what you need to know before the garden season is here. Hopefully that this is enough of a plan to where you are going to go into the season full out and be ready for anything that comes your way. If you need more help, I do have a full course where I go deeper into the science of gardening. So you can check that out. I'll leave the link down below to where you can go and look at that. You also get the garden playbook as a bonus in that course for free. So you can get the garden, you can get the course, and then you can have access to the garden playbook for free if you don't already have that access. The garden playbook is just it's just one of those resources that is completely, I mean, it's just something that you need to have. I feel like it's something that I created because I needed it, if that makes sense. So it's a resource that I needed, so I created it in order to share with you and others. So I just feel like it's invaluable. I'm trying to get it out in the world because I feel like it can really help everybody. It can help people wanting to grow their garden so much better. So I hope that you will take advantage of that. So if you don't want to get the course, you can also, but you want the playbook, you can get the playbook from my shop. So sorry, my throat is really sore and scratchy. So you can get the playbook from my shop. I'll leave a link for that down below also, to where you can grab that if you just want the playbook, and you'll have it for life. It's a one-time price download, so you will have that. I do hope that this playbook helps you win at vegetable gardening. I'm a huge football fan, so that's why I named it the Vegetable Garden Playbook, because I love sports, and I don't know, it just winning and playbooks, and it was just on my brain, especially since my team is about to play in their bowl game tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. So in honor of that, I hope that this playbook helps you win at your garden. I hope that it will help you to plan the garden of your dreams, and that you will be so super successful. So, friend, if you need anything, if you have anything, I hope that this has been helpful to you. But please feel free to reach out to me. And have a wonderful rest of 2022 and a glorious 2023. So, friend, own your dreams, own your life, and I'll see you down the road. Bye.